Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad. Why are we talking about Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad?
Because it's awesome.
Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad, for any 90s kid, it was a tokusatsu, aka live action science fiction Japanese series that was brought over. It was originally called Gridman in Japan, and it was brought over to America during the huge live action Japanese boom that was created by Power Rangers. There was, you could just name all of them: VR Troopers, Big Bad Beetleborgs, Masked Rider, just to name a few. Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad was part of that. And what Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad was, it was pretty much a sister series from the Ultraman family, created by it always slips off my tongue. Tsuburaya Productions, the people who created Godzilla and my beloved Ultraman. And Deke Entertainment pretty much took this series, Gridman, gave it the Power Ranger treatment, gave it Matthew.
Which is basically, well, the way I was going to say it was like it's basically Tron, but with Power Rangers
pretty much
kind of thing, in a way.
That's probably the best way to put it. And then they were like, hey, remember Joey Lawrence from Blossom and how popular he was with the ladies? Let's get his younger brother, Matthew Lawrence, to be the main character. And then a whole bunch of people that I have no idea who they are in terms of actors. And they just threw a show together. And it was okay. It was okay for what it was. I remember seeing it as a kid and wondering why this guy looks like Ultraman and why his combined robot mode looks like Optimus Prime.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Little did I know those two thoughts in my mind as a 9-year-old kid back in the 90s were complete foreshadowing to what's going on today. That being that me thinking it was Ultraman, and lo and behold, he is part of the Ultraman family, and the other thing looking like Optimus Prime, leading to our discussion today. So why am I talking about Gridman? Why am I talking about Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad? Well,
because it's our show. We could do what we want.
That too. Essentially, if you're not a fan of what's going on right now with Transformers Cyberverse and you're not enjoying that, I have another show you could watch that is in the vein of Transformers. So it seems that the new Gridman anime has come out in Japan. It's already 2 weeks into it, so we have 2 episodes.
What is it called? What's the full name of it?
The full name of it, and I love the name that they went with for the Japanese name. They went with SSSS Gridman, which is actually an homage to the American port name of Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad. Samurai with an S, not a C. Not cyber with an S, not a C. Jesus. Yeah. Anyways.
I'm getting too excited over there.
There's a lot of information. Oh, when I get into the actual information, it's going to be a lot to unpack here. So pretty much this original show, the toys were made by Takara, which is what, Transformers were made by in Japan. When it was brought over here, Playmates actually had the licensee to port over majority of the toys, and Playmates, with their, experience with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, also made a whole bunch of brand new toys for the American market. All those smaller PVC figures and stuff were made exclusively by Playmates, while the larger transformable and combiner stuff were actually ports of the Takara product. So this was, in a lot of ways, it's a cousin series to Ultraman, but it also had mild ties to the Transformer family. And just in the case of creation, kind of like, the Brave series, if you will. Now we've come full circle. So the anime has come out 2 weeks ago. We've gone 2 episodes into it. And if you look at it and you just take it for what it is, it's your by-the-numbers Ultraman-esque series where, there's kaijus, there's monsters, there's, people that transform into the kaiju fighters that look like Ultraman. But there's a little more going on here than meets the eye. And it comes from a design and creative standpoint. And that is that the designers of Gridman went out of their way to make almost every single character, human character, and some of the monsters in this series an homage to something in Transformers. And it's Absolutely.
Which is pretty crazy, especially a specific part of Transformers. No,
Well, it
kind of
it,
in a little
yeah,
way.
it really is a kind of in a
very
little
specific.
So, well, and I remember when this was being brought up at first, I was kind of going like, oh, you know, these are just coincidences. You know, sometimes people they look too much into things, but then certain characters with the very specific design choices they had, I was like, no, this can't be a coincidence anymore. You know, it started to get ridiculous, and I'll just kind of go through it. So the main character in this series, named Yuta Hibiki, who's our protagonist in this, you know, people were saying like, oh, you know, he looks like Classics Cliff Jumper and stuff. And of course his color scheme, his blue eyes and stuff, sure. But then you look at his shoes and it's clearly like the front end of the Classics Cliff Jumper toy. And you go, okay. And that was like one of the first images that was kicking around when episode 1 came out. And I was like, oh, you know what? Probably a coincidence. You know what I mean? Like, shoes could look like that. You know what I mean? They could potentially look like that. Yes, it does look like Classics Cliff Jumper from 2007, 2008, but it could potentially just be a coincidence.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you're introduced later on in that same episode to the girl, you know, Rika. And Rika, everyone goes, well, she's supposed to be Shattered Glass Megatron. And it's like, okay, I don't, you know, people are, I was like, you know, you guys are kind of reaching, because also, you know, she has earbuds that kind of look like, you know, the cannons that he has on his shoulders.
One thing I do find funny about all this is that we're the ones saying, you know, people, you're kind of reaching. And then we're looking, and then
well, it's just, that's how
the deluge of facts.
That's how I felt initially, because like, you know, there is coincidences, you know what I mean? It does happen. But then when the character of Sho Itsumi shows up later in the episode, which is supposed to be Yuta's like best friend and help him remember get his memory back, because the character suffers from amnesia at the beginning. That's when I started going like, uh-oh, maybe there is something to people's accusations here. And Sho's design is based off of Shattered Glass Sideswipe. Now, again, normally a color scheme could just be a coincidence, but the part that really threw me off was Shattered Glass Sideswipe is based off of the Armada Sideswipe mold. And the Armada Sideswipe's mold biggest like noticeable thing that you can never get rid of no matter what you repaint it as is he has the Autobot logo on his chest with a big scar through it. And that was molded into the toy. They on Sho's design is he has the colors of Shattered Glass Sideswipe, and then he has a number 8 on his chest with a slash through it. And the 8 is in purple, like the Shattered Glass Autobot logo. And I'm going like, okay, all right, sure. And again, by the way, all these characters I've listed thus far, they're all supposed to be good guy characters. They all have blue eyes. I'm like, okay, fine. All right. Okay. Maybe this is all coincidence. Let's keep on rolling. Then we're introduced to Rika's mother. And Rika's mother, like, you only see it if you look very carefully, but she has an apron. And if you look at her apron and her chest, it's pretty much the design of the lower abs of Generation 1 Megatron. And like literally, it's like if you had to do like a repro label sticker of it, it's right there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, okay. And considering that Rika is supposed to be Shattered Glass Megatron and her mom is G1 Megatron, so it's like, oh, okay, wow, they even made that little tie. Then you keep going in the episode, and you're introduced to a character named Akane Shinjo, who's supposed to be like the kid who sits next to Yuta in class. And apparently, people are saying that she's supposed to be Shattered Glass Optimus Prime. I was like, okay, maybe that's, again, pulling with the colors. But then later on in the episode, she's wearing a pair of glasses, and her glasses have a crack in it, just like the glass on Shattered Glass's Optimus Prime's windshield. So I'm just going like, oh, man, okay, sure. And then as you keep going, apparently Rika has 2 best friends in the class. She has Namiko and Hass. Namiko, everyone's like, oh, she's supposed to be Shattered Glass Starscream, which has like those Jetfire colors. But the real thing that sells it and goes like, okay, this is clearly Transformer homages. And these 2 characters, these 2 best friends, really just like it's 100% blatant, is Namiko has a little clip in her hair. And the clip in her hair is Shattered Glass Starscream's Force Chip or Cyber Planet Key, whatever you want to call it. which is specifically it's an Earth planet key, but with clear red, which came only with the Shattered Glass Starscream that came with the 2008 Botcon box set. And then her friend Haas is like, so she's supposed to be Shattered Glass Soundwave. She's sick, right? And in Japanese culture, when you're sick, you wear a mask so you don't cough on everybody, just like Soundwave has a mouth plate. Then she has a scrunchie in her hair that's green, that's supposed to represent Shattered Glass Soundwave's bandana. Then she has a shawl that she's obviously has around her because she's sick, so she doesn't want to get cold. And on the light blue shawl, which by the way is also Shattered Glass Soundwave's colors, on it has Ravage, and it says Ravage, and there's a cat on it to represent Shattered Glass Ravage.
Specifically a white cat.
Yes. Pure madness, this. And then it keeps going in the same class.
I don't know, man. This sounds like something you might have written.
I don't know.
Did like an alternate universe version of yourself come in and like, Daniel, we need to do a Gridman reboot. Will you write it?
Well,
you could do whatever you want.
I'll tell you, the next one I'm going to say here would have definitely been something I would have been guilty of. So then there's two incidental characters in the background that don't have names yet. But they're very noticeable and featured, and it was like done on purpose almost to go like, hey, look at these color schemes. There's a girl that's playing with a volleyball in the classroom, and when you catch her for a split moment, you look at her T-shirt is 100% an homage to Psykill from GoBots, and it's like, and again, you would be like, oh, you're just reaching. No, it's his chest logo, it's his colors, it's everything. And then when you go to next to Akane, she also has a classmate that she's talking to, and the classmate is clearly dressed differently from everyone else because she's wearing a fabulous jacket. And this jacket looks
more like a 90s crazy colored jacket.
Well, to be fair,
is that the one you're talking about?
To be fair, it looks like something pizzazz from Gem would have wore in 1987. But and obviously this crazy color scheme is from back in the day. Action Master Thundercracker had a really wacky repaint in the UK, and it was in those colors. And this jacket, which by the way would later be repurposed as Shattered Glass, again, Thundercracker, is a very strong Shattered Glass emphasis in this series. And on the back of the jacket that this human character is wearing, it even says Thunder on the back. You know, like again, it's you know,
just in case you were like, no, this is all coincidence.
It's all coincidence.
No,
like,
it's
not coincidence. And as you continue later on, like there's more characters as the series progresses. There's a few photos already, because in the intro of the series, there's a photo of all the classmates, and people have started already like pointing out, like if you look at some of the classmates, oh, there's Shattered Glass Octopunch. Oh, there's Shattered Glass Straxus. Like there's other paint schemes. Then on top of that, people have already started pointing out with the villains, the two main villains of the series, which I guess we'll call it the Malcolm Frink for now. We don't really know we don't know the villain's name yet. It's a mysterious like young boy who 100% has Shattered Glass Rodimus as colors, like has the flames and everything. And then you have, I mean, all he's missing is the mustache, and that would have like really that really sealed the deal. And
yeah, just a mysterious boy with a goatee.
Yeah, and then we have the version of KiloCon in this version of the series. His name is Alexis Carib, and he's supposed to be, at least according to people, it's supposed to be Nemesis Prime. I don't really see that one, but I think that there has to be at least one character in the series that isn't based off of something in Transformers at this point. And if you're gonna go to KiloCon and say, oh, he's based on something, no, I think he looks like KiloCon. I think he looks like
pretty much.
I think he looks like the original villain from the original Gridman series, or for people who watch Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad. And in the second episode, there already has been more characters that have been showing up in kaijus, if you will. There's obviously the big kaiju villains. Some people have been saying, oh, it looks like Power Hug from Beast Wars 2nd, or one of the kaijus looks like Transmetal 2 Dinobot, which I could kind of see. There's one of them that kind of looks like it, but again, it could also just be an original design. Not everything does have to be Transformers. There's a group of students in the show, that a separate group of students that people are speculating are all based off of the Age of Extinction movie Dinobots. And I mean, it's pretty much 4 people in a suit. Each one of them have little visual cues on them. And the more I look at it, the more I go, you know what? Maybe you're right. And it's pretty crazy because it's like it's Grimlock, it's Strafe, aka Swoop, it's Slug, aka Snarl, and
It's all connected, man. It's all connected.
And it's just this is bananas, and we're only 2 episodes into it. This is like I watched this series at regular speed, watching it as a show, but I found myself constantly pausing and going back 5 seconds because I thought I saw something. And it doesn't just go with characters, because then there's even props in the series. Like the character of Sho Itsumi, he at one point pulls out a pair of binoculars, and it's based off of the Real Gear binoculars from the Transformer 2007 movie toy line. Mm-hmm. So this series is just filled with Transformer references.
I wonder if this is Sakamoto-san's next gig, or one of his crew members' next gig that they're doing. And they're like, oh, yeah, put this in. Oh, yeah, put that in. Put this in. Put this in.
Well, this is something.
I think the only way we would really know is if, like, a symbol that kind of looks like Hordak's symbol from She-Ra pops up. Or, it's like something like really, really, like, American tokusatsu pops up. Like, oh, I know that guy who's working on it.
Well, it's funny because, like, when I was looking up who are the character designers for this series and everything, you know how the Japanese, they always put the last name first and the first name last, right?
Yeah.
So when I was looking up who was the character designer for this series, it said Sakamoto, and my eyes widened for a second, but it was, it's Sakamoto Matsuru, which is instead, because it's Hayata Sakamoto, which is the Sakamoto that we're familiar with. So now, I don't know if he's related. That's my next little dig I have to do now. I have to go like, is this guy related to him or something? Because it's like there's 2 major character designers for this series. Both of them who really, if you look at their history, they didn't really do much. They're 2 young guys that are new to the anime world, if you will. Okay. But it's just it's absolute madness.
It's all in.
It really is. Like it's crazy. And I mean, also this is done by Studio Trigger, which has been notorious for a lot of really good series, specifically Kill la Kill being their biggest, thing that a lot of people are familiar with right now, that they're most famously known for. But of course, they've done tons of other stuff. The Little Witch Academia is probably another thing that they've done recently that people really enjoy. I mean, here's one that you're probably familiar with, Black Dynamite.
Yeah.
So like
Dynamite, so Dynamite.
So like, I mean, they've done a lot of really good stuff, but it's clear that the people behind this studio have a huge love for, because this isn't the crazy.
Oh, they did the intro for Black Dynamite, if I remember right.
But the thing, yeah, no problem. The thing is that all of these homages, they're not Japanese Transformer homages. These are all super obscure, like, I mean, they're like Shattered Glass stuff that are Botcon homages, aka like, you had to go to Botcon, an American convention, and get these exclusives, and it's a limited piece of fiction from a limited toy.
Yeah, exactly.
And yet they're homaging that kind of obscurity. So it really shows that the character designers of this series and the people who are behind it, they're fans of the obscure American side of Transformers history. That's like an American creating a series and then like homaging super obscure Operation Combination G1 stuff, which again would be like, oh wow, like you're not even going for like, Star Saber and Diatlas. You're going for like, Fire Chief and Guard City, like the really obscure, the obscure dudes that's reaching, that even like Hasbro and Takara probably would never make figures of. Although who knows? I'll bite my tongue with that one. I mean, and
like, I will show you, Gaijin.
And again, and ultimately in the end, if and when Xenon, goes into his final form in this series, which is a given, we're just gonna have Optimus Prime, straight up looking right at us. I mean, he pretty much is Optimus Prime, and Servo, as we'll call him, even though it's Gridman, but Servo pretty much is is Ultraman. So, I mean, if you're a fan of that original series, give it a watch. If you're someone who just is looking for something else that's Transformers related and Cyberverse is not doing it for you, this is something that's worth peeking in. And I mean, it's just for the nods alone. And I mean, we're only 2 episodes in, and all of this stuff that I've listed is littered all over it. Every like 5 seconds I was pausing. It's absolutely nuts. And it's a fun little series. I mean, I wouldn't put it like, I watch a lot of anime, and already like the new season of all the different anime shows just started 2.5-3 weeks ago. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I could recommend, but this is something that if you're, as a Transformer fan, if you're looking for something new to watch, this is something you could sink your teeth into and possibly enjoy. I wouldn't say it's the best anime to watch out for this year. There's a lot of other stuff I could suggest, but this is definitely something interesting to check out as a Transformer fan.